Looks like the trailer just dropped for everyone's least anticipated Spider-Man related film by Sony with a black protagonist. Symbiote lives matter, man. If this movie gets less than 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics must hate Clintar. Anyway, let's get into it. I've really loved Venom ever since I first read his comics as a little kid. Lethal Protector was such an important story to me that I made my parents hunt down all of the 5 Venoms action figures available on eBay. I still have them on a shelf above my bed. They came with this little slimy toy thing in the box that Dick Calvin lost at my 8th birthday party. If someone finds this rubber symbiote head toy, please email me, I miss it very much. And as a huge Venom fan, I think Tom Hardy is great casting for Eddie Brock. He was wise to hold off from being the oh-so-memorable character Rick Flag so he could be a leading man. However, I'm sure a lot of people are disappointed because he's been fan cast as every other white male comic character. But as it is, I'm very happy with him as Venom. Much better choice than that other skinny cracker. I sure do love me some classic Eddie Brock Venom stories. And so far, this movie has me at a solid, I know everyone else is already sold on hating it. Like, there's absolutely no way they'll come back on it, but I can be won over. If you surf the web, you'll find a lot of people have made up their minds already, unfortunately. This could be the best superhero movie of all time, and I can still tell you with confidence the box office numbers won't impress. However, since everyone else is already pissed off, I will offer an opposing viewpoint, and we'll say it's not garbage yet for the moment. It's pretty damn obvious Sony rushed this thing out the door given it had only come out 12 days after filming wrapped. I bet the actual character model for Venom is still just a wireframe and the effects team is trying to figure out how to get the tongue to move properly. You know, that really boring side of filmmaking no one ever talks about. I think a lot of people getting pissed off need to chill out though. It's a teaser trailer, the point is to tease you. Then again, just one shot of the title character would have been nice. Sony, if you don't have anything ready for a trailer, just don't do one. We can wait. What is even happening in this shot? Does Venom have telekinesis now? I bet this shot, if it appears in the movie at all, is going to be some gratuitous CGI of symbiote tendrils pulling these monitors off tables as Venom or some other symbiote character swings past and kicks this dude in the face. That's what's brilliant about the Deadpool movie marketing. You don't need any of the effects ready, you just put Ryan Reynolds in the suit and have him ad-lib a bunch of dumb crap and film it on your iPhone and it's ready to post. The VFX team can take all the time they want with that one. Without having Venom himself in it, let's take a look at what we do have. In this teaser, we got Tom Hardy boys as Mopey walking around the city man, and unfortunately isn't dressed up as a 40-year-old skateboarder and hanging out with a bunch of inner city kids. In some earlier set photos, we saw him with a pen and notebook looking rather reporter-ish. Then in a later one, he's dressed as if he was a soldier. Not sure if they're going the classic route or doing an Agent Venom thing. If I were to make a really baseless guess, it's a scene where the symbiote is trying to help him sneak past some guards and shapeshifts his clothes. Come back in October and tell me if I was right. Boy, I hope he gets his fancy winter jacket at some point. We see Eddie's wife, Anne Wang, who doesn't have short hair. 0 out of 10. Cancel the movie. Not comic accurate enough. But wait, Michelle Williams has short hair for real. They put a wig on her. What the hell's going on? We see our antagonist, Businessman, a guy who works for the Life Foundation, opening a truck to look at the suit while 5 researchers stand behind him looking bored. Part of me wants to jump to conclusions about there being 5 of them and say maybe we'd be getting the 5 Venoms, but in the book those guys are all military trained. These all look like a bunch of nerds and the ratio of men to women is off. So, who knows? Maybe it's not an intentional thing and I'm grasping at straws for something to be excited about. We also see Eddie is laying in an MRI machine. Man, this trailer is pretty devoid of Easter eggs. Like, can we just get something that looks familiar? Maybe a hint on the computer screen that he has like a rare type of cancer that makes him an ideal host for the suit rather than most people. Or like a recognizable name drop? Something? Anything? I guess the overall look of the trailer seems about right. Director Paul Rubens said he wanted the look of the film to be inspired by Cronenberg and John Carpenter, and I think that's a great choice. So it looks kinda horror movie-ish and dark. Venom solo stories work well when they play up the horror and sci-fi elements, like in Venom: The Hunger, which is arguably the best Venom solo story with Eddie Brock from the 90s. I really recommend reading that one since it feels like a Cronenberg or Carpenter story. Directors and studios have talked about the concept of creating a horror movie mixed with a superhero film for a long time, and I think Venom's a way better use of that than Fantastic Four. Though if this fails, we still got New Mutants, which is doing that creepy demon bear story arc. A pretty big topic of discussion is how exactly this thing will work without the involvement of Spider-Man. Tom has reportedly been seen on set with Tom, but not in the costume. This is, of course, very confusing after all the times we've been given conflicting information. And then there was that cringy interview with Amy Pascal where Kevin Feige clearly fantasized about stabbing her to death.
So there is a chance that Tom Holland as Spider-Man will pop up somewhere over there?
She's a special kind of person. I'm going to say Tom Holland's Spider-Man won't be a factor, for two reasons. One, he was on the set of Suicide Squad and he wasn't in that movie. Actors visit each other's sets for fun, it's what they do. Two, Spider-Man Homecoming is really toned down most of the time and feels like a Disney Channel version of Spider-Man. And leading that into this movie about a space alien that eats human brains, which, serves as an allegory for drug abuse, that would be a little weird. Especially considering how young Tom Holland is still. I don't think this version of Spider-Man is emotionally ready for this shit, man. Although, on the other hand, if they're pulling a fast one on us, and it is in the MCU, Infinity War has Spidey going to space in a suit with a giant spider logo on the chest. Maybe he comes across some black goo during his adventure and sheds it in between movies. I'm kind of hoping for that, because Venom's character is dramatically less interesting without Spider-Man as a part of his origin. Without that element of being a dark reflection of Spidey or having a lust for revenge, he has no conflict. His inner turmoil then becomes struggling with whether or not he wants to eat people, and that's hardly as interesting when compared with this anti-hero that considers Spider-Man a villain. Without that piece of the story, he's a reporter who gets bonded with an alien and then fights crime and sometimes eats people's brains. That sounds a lot less cool to me. Beyond that, the character fucking looks like Spider-Man. It's gonna be weird when this space alien inexplicably forms a giant spider logo on Eddie's chest with no reasoning for it. Or when he shoots webs out of his hands. You could technically remove those parts of the character and have him be more like Ultimate Venom, but that's a lot more boring and forgettable. In that case, he looks like a big black goo monster with white eyes and not a supervillain version of Spider-Man, which is what he's supposed to be. Could always just slap a big V on his chest and do like a Superman joke about it.
On my planet, the V stands for...
If that's the case, I'll make Nightwing jokes forever. In terms of the story, Lethal Protector is a good choice for inspiration. It's Venom's first story where he finds his footing as a solo character and fights threats that aren't nerdy photographers. Honestly, a Spidey connection is only necessary at the beginning of the movie. Like, it could seriously just be a light cameo or a reference to off-screen events. Spidey doesn't do a whole lot in Lethal Protector, they just tossed him in there for fear of Venom's solo book not selling. It's like how I keep putting him in the video thumbnails so people will watch them. I mean, it's a real simple rewrite to have Eddie fight and kill the 5 him-thems himself. And yes, I think the 5 Deadly Venoms 1978 should be the antagonists and not Carnage. There's like no room for Carnage in this story. He's a good second or third movie villain. I know it's breaking canon to have him come after these guys, but they have way less going on story-wise. They're not the important nemesis characters. You can get rid of them real quick and then develop Cletus for something more complicated later. You know, in the sequel that this movie won't have because everyone's already made up their mind and won't see it. Plus, it would be really fun to see these 5 schmucks since they're the coolest thing in that comic run. That's right, I'm not very impressed by the Guardsman. Sorry to all you Guardsman fans out there, I know there are a lot of you. Prediction time! Maybe that's a spaceship there, or a shuttle from Spaceland. Eddie goes somewhere he shouldn't because he's an ace reporter man and wants to get the inside scoop, then gets an alien STD, and his ex-wife will be a boring character and get no development and only serve as a way of establishing that Eddie isn't gay. And then she'll tell him that he should seek help and stop being a weird half-alien psycho, and he'll be all like, "My gift, my curse, bitch," and walk out on her. Then she'll be She-Venom for one scene in the sequel they won't make. Maybe they'll blow their symbiote load early and tie it into Planet of the Symbiotes, where a ship full of them lands and just takes over the whole city. That would be pretty stupid, but hey, can't have a superhero movie without an end-of-the-world scenario to fight off. I don't know, I'm not 100% ready to just hate it, because I've been surprised in the past when I thought I'd hate a movie, and sometimes I've been disappointed when I get too excited for one. But with this, I have a deeper love and connection to the character than most of these other films coming out. I want this one to succeed because Venom's been one of my favorites since I was just learning to talk. I don't wish this would fail right out of the gate, and it's a shame that a lot of people aren't willing to give it a chance. All I'm saying is, yes, Sony has a bad track record, yes, it's an underwhelming ass teaser, but don't sign the movie's death certificate just yet. Ironically, I think this movie is a sign of the times. The superhero genre is changing again, and I have a feeling it's going to start looking a lot like how it did circa 2003-ish. It was the Wild West of superhero films. Every studio was greenlighting every movie for everything, and continuity wasn't even a twinkle in Kevin Feige's eye yet. Soon we're getting a Spawn movie, movies based on Rob Liefeld books, a spin-off Joker movie set in the 80s, and a bunch of other random crap. Only one camp seems to be able to pull off the cinematic universe idea successfully, so all the competition is going back to greenlighting all kinds of weird random stuff. It's exciting to see what we could possibly be getting an adaptation of now since everything is fair game. Let's just pray that this one doesn't become this year's Fant Forstick. Maybe it can lead to a new era where a dumb comic no one's ever read like Moon Knight can get a movie adaptation without it being all bogged down by interlinking with 400 movies and having a tone similar to them. Maybe this could be the next big step. Or it'll fall flat and Disney will continue making a shit zillion dollars.